y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't tryna grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't tryna link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record, yeah. For the record, yeah. For the record, yeah. For the record, for the record.
Hello everyone, welcome to this much requested 3-part series on how to interpret organic acids test, SIBO test and also comprehensive stool test, and how you can use these test results to reclaim your health. Now today I am covering off the organic acids test, tomorrow will be the SIBO testing, and then on Saturday I will do the comprehensive stool testing. Now, so many of you email me on a daily basis saying that I have this or that condition, what foods should I be eating, what supplements should you be taking, and how do I get rid of this bad bacteria so I can heal my gut. Now, whenever I speak to anyone, I can try and put together a plan based on somebody's symptoms, but this is always based on trial and error approaches, and in many occasions this approach can take a person considerably longer for the person to resolve their health problems. Now, what the organic acids test enables you to do is cut out the guesswork. So biochemically you can see exactly what is going on in the person's body, so you're going to speed up the healing time. And also potentially you are going to save yourself a lot of money in the process. Because when you are going from functional doctor to naturopath to conventional doctor, then this can cost you a lot of money on consults and supplements when you are simply playing a guessing game. The organic acids test is also very easy to carry out. I will discuss this later in the video, but essentially all you need to do is provide a urine sample at home and then pop it in the post, so no hassle of having to go to the doctor for blood tests, etc. Now, many of you constantly ask where you can get these tests, particularly those of you with long-standing gut issues. The simple answer is that you need to order these tests through a functional doctor or naturopath. What I find particularly annoying about this is that these functional doctors and naturopaths will usually add a markup to these already expensive tests. And then you are really at their mercy and expense when you need to interpret these test results. And on this point, next year I'm going to try and set up these tests through my website at cost, so you can order the test without having to go through expensive healthcare professionals. I will provide accompanying documentation via my free book, which I will release next year, that will further guide you through interpreting the test results and how you develop a strategy for fixing the underlying problems. And of course, as always, for transparency, I will make no money for providing the testing service. I will simply do it to help you guys reduce your overall costs. So on this point, let's jump onto my computer and look through some of these test results. So the reason why the organic acids test is so useful for pinpointing the underlying cause of health problems is that it provides a snapshot of over 70 different metabolites. Essentially what this means is that these discarded organic acid molecules in your urine provide detailed signatures of what is happening in your body. Now, the best organic acids test on the market by a clear mile is the Great Plains test. Now, I am in no way, shape or form affiliated to this company. I am just a big super fan of the granularity of their testing methods. So by simply providing a urine sample, the lab can evaluate you for yeast and bacterial overgrowth, vitamin and antioxidant levels, fatty acid metabolism, neurotransmitter levels, oxalate levels, mitochondria function, oxidative stress, detoxification, and much, much more. So if you have any health problems, it is super useful at providing you with a detailed picture of what's happening inside your body. So as I've already said, the test is super easy. You simply provide a 10 milliliter sample of your first urination of the day before you eat or drink anything. The only prerequisites for the test is that you should avoid apples, grapes, pears, raisins, cranberries and cranberry juice 24 hours before the test so that your results aren't impeded by the organic acids in those foods. So let's quickly jump into one of my test results from a while ago so I can take you through the results, what they mean and how you then interpret them. So the test starts by looking at intestinal overgrowth. So here we are looking at your microbiome to see what good and bacteria we have present. So are there candida and yeast and strains of fungus, and are there too much bacteria that could be an indication of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or other dysbiosis issues? And what this test really enables you to do is pinpoint the bacteria that is likely to be driving your health conditions. And this area of the test is super important for looking at your digestive health. But as you will see as we go through the test, if you have red flags here, then it is likely to have a knock-on effect elsewhere in your body. So again, this sector will reveal a lot of information in relation to mental health type issues that are being driven by the gut, or any eczema, psoriasis or other skin issues, again caused by the gut. Now, when I am consulting with someone, I will typically start with this test, and if you get lots of red flags around the gut, then I will branch out into the stool test and SIBO test, depending on the red flags that I am seeing. So these orange boxes are the reference ranges, so if you have lots of markers outside these ranges, then you know with a fairly high degree of accuracy that you have gut dysbiosis issues. Now, I'm not going to run through each of these markers because it would take a fair amount of time, but let me just highlight some of the main markers to look out for. Arabinose is a metabolite of Candida, so if you have lots of arabinose, then Candida is likely to be an issue for you. Also, Clostridia bacteria markers down here are usually the type of bacteria that will drive Crohn's and colitis. So if you have these diseases, then I would certainly recommend taking the test so you can understand what is driving your illness, so that you can then start fixing the underlying problem. Now, as we move through the test results onto the second page, we get to the oxalate metabolites. Now, I've done a video on why oxalates can be so damaging to your health if you have underlying gut issues, so be sure to watch the video, so click on the link at the top of the video here and then come back and watch the rest of this one. Now, there are a small percentage of people with genetic abnormalities, which means they can't metabolize oxalates properly in the body. And if this were the case, then you would see high elevations in both glyceric and glycolic acid. And if you have high oxalic acid, then it simply means that you have an underlying gut issue stopping you from properly breaking down oxalates. Another thing to note here is that if you do have high levels of yeast and arabinose from the first page, then this is likely what's driving the high levels of oxalic acid. So you would kill off the yeast and then you would see your oxalate numbers come down. So if you are not processing oxalates well, then you would typically see issues such as brain fog, fatigue, joint issues, and even heart arrhythmias, like in my case. Then as we move further down the test, we can see things like your mitochondrial markers and the Krebs cycle metabolites. So here we see how the fats, carbs and proteins that you are eating are being broken down in the body. And what some of these markers will reveal is when some of these processes are not functioning properly. Next up are the mitochondrial markers. Again, I'm not going to explain every metabolite, but you just need to know that the mitochondria are the little power plants in your cells. So these are responsible for converting glucose into ATP, or adenosine triphosphate as it's known, which is the energy currency in your body. So any irregularities here would mean that your cells are not working correctly to produce energy. This is likely to come back to those gut issues again, but it also could be that the necessary nutrients for healthy cell function are not getting through. So here what we are really talking about is CoQ10, B vitamins, L-carnitine, and also those essential amino acids. So very useful information here indeed. Then on the test we have the neurotransmitter metabolites. So if you have gut issues, are these impacting on your body's ability to produce serotonin and dopamine, etc.? So again, if you have either anxiety or depression, this test is super useful at telling you what's going on. In this section, you really want to see everything within normal range, because if some of the metabolites are elevated, you are really pointing towards brain inflammation and also brain cognition issues. Then we get to folate metabolism. Now, I've done a video specifically on the importance of MTHFR genes, so check it out up here, I'll put the link somewhere. But what these markers will show you is if potentially you have any issues with MTHFR mutations. Next up, as we move down the list, we get to the ketone and fatty acid oxidation panel. So essentially what we are talking about here is how well your body is using fatty acids and carbs. So if you have any issues with losing weight, this section will help you pinpoint what the main problems are. And again, moving down, and a really useful section on the test is the nutritional markers section. So things like B12, B5, B6 and also CoQ10. So these numbers will obviously be out if you have any gut and absorption issues. So really useful to see how you are stacking up nutritionally. So do you have the tools and antioxidants in the body to detox properly? So here we can see glutathione, which is your master antioxidant in the body. So you really don't want low levels of this. And below this we have ammonia excess and orotic acid. So if you have lots of brain fog, then these markers will typically be elevated. So just under this, we also have things like salicylates that I talk routinely about on this channel. So how is your body coping and processing and detoxifying these chemicals? Nearly finished now, but next up we have the amino acid markers. So low values for amino acid metabolites, the markers which are 62 to 74, indicate the absence of genetic disorders of amino acid metabolism. And finally on the test we have the mineral metabolism markers. So is your body metabolizing these minerals correctly? Now that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the organic acids test. I hope you all can see the importance of taking these tests and not second guessing your health issues. If you have any specific questions regarding this test, then let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow we'll be interpreting the SIBO tests. And as always, keep the questions coming. If you have a question for me, then hashtag AskGojiMan in the comments below, or you can send your video questions through to contact@gojimannutrition.com. And as always, remember to look after your body because it's the only place you have to live. And I'll see you next time.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you.